सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
You're listening to Bare Knuckle Bhakti Shorties on the Bhakti Recovery Podcast with Jiva G, coming at you every Monday with a little spiritual something. Good morning, my friends. It is Monday morning here in Berlin. Beautiful day, sunny. Weather report. So let's dig in. Let us dig in with step one, as promised. Step one from the 12 steps of the Bhakti Recovery Group, original version, Alcoholics Anonymous, sprinkled with the magic dust of Bhakti. We admit that we're powerless over our addictions, anarthas, and associated behaviors, and our lives had become unmanageable. Let's pick this apart. What does it mean to admit that we're powerless? What does that mean for us? What does that mean to you? Just think about that for a second. I'm just going to give you 1 second. I am powerless. Let's just say this. I am powerless over my addictions, anarthas, and associated behaviors. So that's the first part. I'm just going to leave it there. Think about that for a second. Take whatever it is you feel powerless over and think about that for a second. Think about that sentence. What does it mean to be powerless? And if you can't think of something that you're quote unquote powerless over, then really think about what that means and why do you think that you have any kind of power over it? I also want to explain the difference between powerlessness and helplessness before, if you're struggling with that sentence, which many do, especially people who are dealing with associated behaviors, such as codependency, being the adult child of a very dysfunctional or alcoholic or addicted family, is sometimes difficult to understand the word powerless, and many people really react very allergic to that word because they feel like that it dispowers them. Is that a word, dispowering? No, but you know what I mean. It takes their power away. Powerlessness has nothing to do with helplessness. And I'm going to give you the example that I've given 100 times because it is the example that, for me, rings as true as a bell. Let's say that there is a tidal wave coming or a tsunami. And we know that it's coming. We've heard on the news there's been an earthquake in the ocean, and it is coming. Admitting that we're powerless over that tsunami, there's no shame involved there, is there? We know that tsunami is coming, and there's not a damn thing that anyone can do. All the technology in the world, everything in the world can't change the fact that tsunami is coming because that's just how it is. And we can admit that we're powerless over that tsunami. That's being powerless. However, we know that tsunami is coming, which makes us not helpless. That makes us we have knowledge of that tsunami coming. Therefore, we can pack our little 7 things, put them in the car, and leave. So admitting that we're powerless doesn't mean that we don't have any power over our actions. It's not admitting helplessness. It's admitting that there are certain things that we have no power over. Certain elements, we have no power over the rain. We can't say that I'm so powerful that I can stop the rain. But we are not helpless. That means we can buy a raincoat. We can use an umbrella. We can take shelter somewhere. That's the difference. I think a lot of people associate the word powerlessness with being a victim or having no say or control over things. But as soon as we know what it is, then we have the power to do something in most cases, especially in this case. So I hope that kind of clears up a little bit what powerlessness means. And our lives had become unmanageable. No, actually stop. I'm going to go back to powerlessness again. So I'm going to take all the examples that one can have. So if I'm an addict, the moment, and I am an addict, not if I was, I am a recovering addict. I have used drugs until the point of complete despair and desperation, and I couldn't stop. I had no power over that drug. That drug had all power over me. I was a robot to this drug. It was my master. And it led me to so many horrific places, doing so many horrific things, experienced so much horrific things, that it was very clear to me, clear as a bell, that I was powerless over this drug. The moment it was suggested, every sense, every fiber of my being was led to doing that drug, as if remote controlled by a power greater than myself. And for me, it felt like I was completely helpless and completely powerless. And because it felt that way, it was so. I had to hit a hardcore bottom in order for that to stop. It became so painful and so desperate and so horrible that I had to let go. I was beaten into submission. And I believe that it was only an act of true divine intervention that I was able to stop. The unmanageability was very clear for me. My whole life was unmanageable because of this powerlessness over drugs and the behaviors that came with it. And my life was in shambles, homeless. I lost everything. Now, for others, the admittance of powerlessness is an inside thing, and it doesn't have to get that way. Sometimes if we come from a dysfunctional family, and I have come from a very highly dysfunctional family, that I felt like the power was taken away from me by my family, that I sank into behaviors that I learned as a child for survival, and I brought them into my adult life. Reacting in very immature ways, and it's not immature in a judgmental way. I'm talking immature because I never had the chance to evolve in a healthy way because of what I had learned. And this is not to blame my family. This is not to blame myself. This is really just fact. I just have to look at it as a fact. The fact is, I did not learn healthy behaviors. And my reactions, of course, because I was in a dysfunctional home, were dysfunctional. I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel loved. So having that, and you know what, some of it was right and some of it was wrong. It's not because my perception as a child was a child's perception. It was not a mature perception. That's why I work a program in order to understand what mature, healthy, and spiritual perceptions of things are. So if anyone out there is in the position of feeling powerless over their own inherent feelings in some way, you're not alone, and there is a solution. To addiction, there's a solution. To dysfunction, there's a solution. But we first have to admit that we of our own selves could not master this feeling. So we are powerless over these dysfunctions, powerless over these things. We are not helpless, hello. And that because of this, our lives had become unmanageable. Now let's talk about the unmanageability. The unmanageability can manifest itself in so many ways. For an addict, it's purely obvious. Your life becomes, you wake up, you got to get the drugs, you got to do what you got to do to get the drugs, whether that's criminal, whether that's whatever that is, selling your body, criminal, bumming for change on the corner, panhandling, whatever it is. It's complete unmanageability. It's complete insanity. It is complete wackadoodle time to be an addict. But for others, the unmanageability of dysfunction or codependency. I mean, I haven't even talked about codependency and the devastation it's caused, because I've lived through that as well. The inherent need to be needed, the inherent longing to please others, to make ourselves feel okay. This running around trying to please people at the cost of our own sanity. Bending over backwards for your partner, which is a beautiful thing done in a sattvic way, in a spiritually balanced way, but in a codependent, sick way, is detrimental to yourself and to the whole relationship. But these are the things that lead us up to some sort of bottoms, and we have to realize that first. So if you feel like that's something. If you feel like that's something that's a part of your life, being a chronic people pleaser at the cost of your own self and the cost of your own spiritual sanity, think about it. Just think about it for a minute, everyone. Pick anything, just an anartha, an associated behavior, an addiction. Something that you use that you feel powerless over, that you've tried over and over again to change, and it doesn't change, and you keep falling back into those old behaviors which don't serve you. They do not serve you. They do not serve others. You think they do, but they don't. So pick that one thing and think about that for a second. Has my life become unmanageable because of this? Do you know what that even means? Do we know what unmanageability means? Or what is our idea of unmanageability? Is our idea of unmanageability that we lose our house and our sanity and everything else? Or does it just mean I am inside a wreck? Or I'm struggling? What does that unmanageability mean? I'm sure we all have unmanageability. Now the question is it enough? Ask yourself, is it enough? Am I done? Am I sick and tired of being sick and tired? Am I sick and tired of being of this being unmanageable in my life? Am I sick and tired of having this anartha, this addiction, this associated behavior running the show? And if that's the case, then you've done the first step. I'm powerless over my addictions, my anarthas, my associated behaviors, and that my life has become unmanageable. But first, we have to understand what that means. Being powerless and being unmanageable does not mean you're helpless. It does not mean you're helpless. Why? Because if any one of us could think that we could change a tsunami, if we can change the rain, then that's insanity. That's just pure insanity. That's saying that we're God. So just admitting that we're powerless over the powers that be is just saying I'm not God. And I'm not all powerful. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty easy for most people. So thinking about that, that's really an important thing. Am I powerless? Now being helpless is something else. Helpless is saying, okay, I can't, it's raining and I can't buy an umbrella and I don't want to buy an umbrella and I'm just going to sit and cry in the rain. I'm not condemning anyone. I used to do the same. I used to do that. I used to just cry in the rain, take more drugs to try to forget that I'm in the rain. Do the same thing to try to forget you're in the rain. It doesn't work like that. At some point, you're going to really have to realize that I need to change something. That's not something that I had to do. I had to change something. But I couldn't change something unless I hit my bottom, unless I really wanted to, unless the pain of doing what I was doing was more than the pain of me changing. I needed those fiery, hot arrows in my butt to keep me moving forward. I needed that. Not everybody does, but I did. And there's a solution for every single one of us. And it's in the 12 steps. And it's in Bhakti. It's in the loving, 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 loving program, a Bhakti recovery group. We are a community with solid, tried and true solutions, which would never have been there because most of us are part of a regular 12-step program. That's how we learned what the 12 steps are. It is a bona fide disciplic succession from Bill W. And then we have our Bhagavad Gita, we have our Prabhupada, we have our movement and the people. And we have our community. And we have the answers right there in front of us. We have every tool we need right at our fingertips. The only thing stopping us to move forward is ourselves. I see this in myself. I see that I rest on my laurels. A meeting and bhakti is not something you just read once and put aside, or just go for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and just put it aside. It's a way of life. I eat, breathe, sleep. Bhakti 12-step recovery. That's what I do because it works for me and for many others. I encourage anyone to go to regular 12 steps. If that's where you find your recovery and that's where you find your spiritual experience, please go. Whether it's a regular, a traditional 12-step AA meeting, NA meeting, CODA meeting, adult child meeting, I encourage you. And anyone who does go to these things and doesn't know enough about bhakti, check out the Bhagavad Gita as it is. I've read a lot of Gitas and with a lot of commentaries, and the Bhagavad Gita as it is for me is the one. And it really resonates with the 12-step program. Arjuna's journey of being powerless over his own attachments, his own identification of his own person and who he is and what he learned, to break free of those and finally surrender unto Krishna. The first step starts on the 18th chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, funnily enough. 1866, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. All will be well. That is the first step in its essence. Admit we're powerless over our addictions, anarthas, and associated behaviours, and our lives had become unmanageable. That's how Arjuna felt. Oh my God, I was taught to be this absolute educated royalty, warrior, family person. I mean, he had to sit on that battlefield speaking with Krishna, saying, I cannot fight. I want to be a yogi. I want peace. I want love. I'm a educated man. We don't kill. These are my teachers. This is my family that you want me to fight against. For him to realize, to surrender onto what Krishna wants for him, he had to surrender first. He had to give all of that up. And we have the chance to do the same thing. We have the chance to surrender to our old patterns, our old behaviors, all of those things, to surrender, admit that we're powerless over those, and their lives had become unmanageable. Because the following steps will help you navigate your way out of it and keep you so close to the lotus feet of God, Krishna. It's a beautiful journey, my friends, but it always starts with the first step. The first step is something, it's like our little spiritual awakening, the very first spark of our spiritual awakening. For me, it was like I got hit with the arrow of God. That realization hit me so hard and so deep that there was no way back. There was only a way forward. So have some faith, my friends. Just admit it. Admit that you're powerless over certain things, that your lives had become unmanageable in some way or another, and that it's just enough. And when you've done that, you've done the first step successfully. I love you guys, and next Monday, we're going to talk about the second step. I hope that helps. Hare Krishna, everyone. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. I hope you liked the Monday Shorties. Don't forget to check out our full-length episodes on Thursdays. If you like what you heard, spread the word. Peace out.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.